As a photographer, should I shoot in RAW? Should I shoot in JPEG? What's the difference? What's the pros and cons of each? Today, that's what we're gonna discuss. So, welcome back to another video. One of the most frequent questions I get as a photographer from people who are just starting out, should I shoot in RAW or should I shoot in JPEG? What do you think? I don't think there's one right answer to that. I think it depends on where you're at in your photography, what are your goals with these photos, and what do you prefer? So today we're gonna kind of break that down and talk about it, and hopefully by the end of this video, you can see which option is best for you. Jumping into it right away, some of the biggest differences between the two are the size of the file, the quality of the file, and I'd say sort of the accessibility of the file. We're gonna break those three down really quickly right now and you'll see what I mean. Starting off with the size, when you take a JPEG photo versus a RAW photo, the JPEG is kind of compressed. So you have all of this data that's compressed a little bit into a JPEG file to make it just a little bit easier. When you take a RAW photo, it gives you all of that data. It takes a lot more data, keeps it as it is, it doesn't compress it at all. That's just a RAW file. It hasn't been touched or changed whatsoever. So when the camera compresses into a JPEG file, it kind of loses a little bit of the data and just keeps kind of what's necessary for the photo, but all of that background data gets kind of eliminated. So a JPEG file inherently is much smaller, and I don't mean physically smaller, it means as a size. So a JPEG file might be like 3.2 megabytes compared to a RAW file, which typically is like 2 to 6 times bigger, meaning it will take 2 to 6 times more space in your camera or on your computer to store that file. Kind of continuing from that point is the quality of the photo is gonna be much better if you shoot it in RAW than in JPEG. So what I mean by this is, specifically if you go to edit photos, like I said, there's so much more data in a RAW photo compared to a JPEG that when you go to edit a photo, you're gonna be able to have so much more wiggle room with that data. So if the sky is overexposed, for example, if you're shooting in RAW, you can kind of lower that exposure in the sky and you'll gain a lot of the details back, rather than in JPEG. If the sky was overexposed, it kind of already compressed it and that's what you're gonna get. You're not really gonna be able to save that sky. So to quickly demonstrate the difference between RAW and JPEG, I'll throw two photos in Lightroom, one as a JPEG, one as a RAW, and you'll see the difference in the capability of the edits. So here I have two photos. If you look at the bottom, one's a JPEG and one's a RAW. Notice how the sky is blown out, which means as I took the photo, I accidentally overexposed the sky. Looking at the JPEG, there's almost no way that you'll be able to salvage this photo. Watch what happens when I drop the highlights all the way down and I lift the shadows a little bit. Dropping the highlights will try and bring back the sky. Look what happens when I do that. The clouds become really splotchy and really kind of grainy, and it's because it's overexposed. There's no data for kind of the edit to be able to fill in. There's nothing there, so it's just kind of overexposing it. Watch what happens when I do the exact same thing with the RAW. Look at the difference here in the quality of the photo and the quality of the clouds. The clouds in the RAW are still there. They're actually really, really good quality. And you'll see a side by side here. I'm gonna flip back and forth. Look at the difference between the two. You see in the RAW, there's so much better quality. That's the difference in a RAW. You'll be able to bring some of the data that's there in the RAW file, but it's not there in the JPEG. You'll be able to kind of bring that back and alter the image more to your liking when you're editing a RAW photo. And finally, kind of the third biggest difference is the accessibility of the photo. If you take a photo in RAW, you're not just gonna be able to open it on your phone or open it on your computer in a little quick preview like you can a JPEG. That's just because the file's too big. To open a RAW file, you'll have to use something like Lightroom or Photoshop or one of those editing softwares to be able to actually open a photo. If you do a JPEG, you can just kind of throw it on your desktop or throw it onto your phone and just open it and send it, post it on Instagram, whatever you want to do, you'll be able to do that right away. So if you're looking to just kind of take photos, share them very quickly, definitely a JPEG is the right call. If you're looking to take photos, upload them into a post-processing software and be able to edit the photos, then export them as a JPEG once you've edited them the way you want to, a RAW file is for you. So now that you know the difference between the two files, which one is for you and which one should you shoot? I would say it really depends. If you're a photographer that's kind of aiming for professional quality, you want to take photos, you want to edit them, you might want to print them out, you want to actually have a high quality photo and you're really aiming for the artistic aspect of it, I would 100% recommend you shoot in RAW because you'll just be able to pull so much more out of that photo in the post-processing softwares. And while you're editing, you'll be able to just pull a lot more color, a lot more details out of your photos, and you're gonna get the highest quality possible that you can work with, and then you can kind of sculpt it down into the JPEG that you want. But for example, if you're someone who's just kind of bringing your camera to your kid's soccer game, you want to take a bunch of photos, throw them on your laptop, post them on Facebook, send them to your family members. In that case, I would just recommend you shoot in JPEG. If you don't plan on editing the photos, you're just kind of there to take some photos and have fun and share them, put them in JPEG, because you don't need all of that data. The files are gonna be so big, they're gonna be hard to open. If you take them in JPEG, throw them on your laptop, send them in some emails or post them online, that's gonna just be way faster, way easier for you. So I think the answer to the question RAW versus JPEG really just depends on what it's for. Future Kevin here. I lost the video file that I had created for the outro, so I just have to redo it quickly right now. In summary, if you're somebody who wants to edit your photos after you take them, want high quality photos for printing or for selling or for clients or anything like that, or really want to just achieve the highest professionalism quality possible, shoot RAW. If you're someone who just wants to take photos for fun, upload them to social media, share them with friends and family, so vacation photos, sports photos, whatever you do, definitely shoot in JPEG. It's not worth it. If you don't plan on editing them, keep them in JPEG. Don't waste your time with the RAW files. So that's definitely my opinion on which one is best for who. If you have any other questions, send me a DM, drop a comment. I'd love to know if there's anything else you want to learn. And as always, if you want to drop any video suggestions down below, I'm always open to your ideas. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.